Welcome to Europe Disaster, where we explore the biggest political shakeups and crises on the continent. And there's no bigger disaster in recent history than the UK's decision to leave the EU. In 2016, 52% of the electorate voted to leave, sparking a political and economic upheaval that's still being felt today. Stay tuned as we delve into the reasons behind the Brexit vote and the ongoing consequences for the UK and the rest of Europe. Since the referendum, the UK has been locked in years of negotiations with the EU to try and determine the terms of its departure. The decision to leave has resulted in a multitude of changes to laws and legislation in the UK, as the country works to untangle itself from the EU's rules and regulations. The process has been fraught with complications and controversies, as both sides try to protect their interests and reach a mutually beneficial agreement. The UK's exit from the EU has also sparked a fierce debate about the country's future direction and its place in the world. As the negotiations have dragged on, the UK has faced significant challenges in navigating its exit from the EU. The country has had to grapple with issues like the Irish border, trade agreements, and the rights of EU citizens living in the UK. The decision to leave the EU has also had far-reaching implications for the UK's economy and its relationships with other countries around the world. Some have argued that Brexit could lead to new opportunities and a more independent future for the UK, while others have warned of potential negative consequences, such as economic disruption and a decline in the country's global influence. But the disaster doesn't stop there. Some experts argue that the UK's current economic recession is partly due to Brexit. Businesses are facing added costs and bureaucracy as they navigate the new rules and regulations, and there are reports of labor shortages as EU citizens leave the UK. So, is Brexit really worth it? As we continue to follow the Brexit story, it's important to understand the context and the many factors that have contributed to the UK's decision to leave the EU. The roots of the Brexit vote can be traced back to long-standing issues and debates within the UK, including concerns about sovereignty, immigration, and the perceived costs and benefits of membership in the EU. The Brexit process has also been shaped by the broader political landscape in the UK and the EU, including the rise of populist and nationalist movements, the fallout from the global financial crisis, and the changing dynamics of power and influence within the EU. As the UK looks to chart a new course outside of the EU, one of the key issues it has had to address is immigration. In the wake of the Brexit vote, the government has implemented a points-based immigration system in an effort to attract skilled workers and control the flow of people into the country. However, this new system has been met with criticism from some quarters, who argue that it is having a negative impact on economic growth and that the UK should be more open to immigration. Critics point out that the country has long relied on migrant labor to fill gaps in the workforce, and that restricting immigration could lead to labor shortages and other economic problems. As the UK continues to navigate its exit from the EU, it's clear that the decision to leave has had a profound impact on the country and its relationships with the rest of Europe. The process of negotiating a new relationship with the EU has been complex and contentious, and it's still not clear what the final outcome will be. One thing is certain, however, the Brexit story is far from over. The UK and the EU are still working to finalize a trade deal, and there are many outstanding issues that need to be resolved. The future of the UK's place in the world is also up in the air, as the country struggles to find its footing in a rapidly changing global landscape. It's natural to wonder what the future holds for the UK and the rest of Europe. Will the UK be able to strike a trade deal with the EU that protects its interests and allows it to thrive outside of the bloc? Or will it be left adrift, struggling to find its place in the world as it faces economic challenges and other setbacks? It's impossible to say for sure what the future holds, but one thing is clear: the Brexit story is far from over. There are still many questions and uncertainties surrounding the UK's exit from the EU, and it will take time for the full impact of the decision to be understood. As we discussed, one of the key issues surrounding Brexit is its impact on the UK's economy. There are differing opinions on the subject, with some pointing to flat trade and GDP growth compared to other countries as evidence of the negative impact of Brexit, while others attribute the economic downturn to other factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. It's difficult to pinpoint the exact impact of Brexit on the UK's economy, as there are so many variables at play. However, it's important to consider the long-term implications of the decision to leave the EU and the potential risks and opportunities it presents. Despite the many challenges and controversies surrounding the Brexit process, it's important to remember that there are also opportunities and benefits to be gained from the UK's decision to leave the EU. Some proponents of Brexit argue that the UK will be able to forge its own path and pursue new trade deals and partnerships around the world, freeing itself from the constraints of the EU's rules and regulations. Others point to the potential for the UK to become a more flexible and innovative economy, able to adapt more quickly to changing market conditions and consumer demand. Thank you for joining us on Europe Disaster as we explore the biggest political shakeups and crises on the continent. We hope you've enjoyed our deep dive into the UK's decision to leave the EU and the ongoing consequences of that decision. As the Brexit saga continues to unfold, we'll be here to bring you the latest updates and expert analysis on this historic and ongoing disaster. Remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay informed, and stay curious as we navigate the many twists and turns of the UK's journey outside of the EU. Until next time, this is Europe Disaster signing off. See you in the next episode.